Is this the best new bike coming out of Italy?
Well, I'm here in Bassano and behind me is the SWI cycling factory. So I'm going to take you for a little run through and we're going to have a look at how it's made and what the process is like.
SWI isn't a household name. You won't see it in the pro peloton and you won't see it all over Instagram. But quietly, since 2014, it's been building something very different.
Designed in Ticino in Switzerland and built here in Bassano del Grappa, the home of Italian bike frames. Literally around the corner, within touching distance, we have brands like Pinarello, Colnago and Viglia. This is literally the epicenter for Italian-made bikes.
And that combination matters because Swiss engineering brings precision, but Italy brings feel and craft, material understanding, and a different way of thinking about how things should be made. And SWI sits right between the two of them. At the center of it is Stefano, and his background tells you a very different story to the brand. Before cycling, he was crafting high-end gold jewellery, which sounds completely unrelated until you realise that both worlds are built on something very similar: precision, materials, and an obsession with detail. Carbon fibre isn't that different. It's still about layering, still about moulding, and still about understanding how something behaves under pressure, just at a completely different scale.
Since 2014, they've been working and grinding away at building the best Italian bike frame. They've worked with people like Paolo Bettini and Luca Paolini, producing over 50 different prototypes.
And the goal wasn't just to make something lighter or stiffer, it was to control something harder to define, how the bike actually feels. So, what actually is a monocoque? As its simplest, it's a frame built as one continuous carbon structure, not separate tubes joined together, but a single shell. Think of most bikes like scaffolding, many different parts connected, whereas a monocoque is more like a shell. Everything flows together, and what that gives you is control. How the bike flexes, how it transfers power, and how it responds under load. But monocoque on its own doesn't mean better, but it just gives you more control as the rider if you know what you're doing. And this is where SWI goes further. Most brands design a frame and scale it down across sizes, whereas SWI doesn't. They change the carbon layup itself depending on the rider, your weight, your power output, and your riding style. And that's not just adjusting geometry, they are adjusting how the bike behaves itself. So it's not just your size, it's your bike. And this is the bit that you don't really get from a spec sheet. Each frame takes over 100 hours to build.
Now this is where SWI are also different because many brands are producing en masse. In the equivalent of the car world, they're like Ford. They're producing multiple frames at multiple sizes and they're just churning them out like a factory. SWI is like a coach-built Porsche. It's like the Singer of the car world. It's been hand-built. Someone has literally been in the factory, used this single monocoque, and the bike that you get at the end of it is personalized specifically to you.
They're not rushed and they're not purely automated. There is a level of intention here, but it's not just craftsmanship for the sake of it. It's controlled craftsmanship. It's precision applied by hand. Something that sits somewhere between performance engineering and a luxury product.
Now the cool thing is, since SWI started back in 2014, it was all about the raw carbon aesthetic, but more recently, they started leaning into the block colours, the solid colours. Look at these two.
And they haven't been producing these swatches alone. They've been working in collaboration with Tom Haneda at Chroma Studios to develop some very interesting paints. And paint is often used in the bike and automotive industry to hide carbon defects, but SWI leans into the craft and hides no secrets, with their raw aesthetic putting their work at full show.
Let's go have a look at my favourite colour. It's quite an easy one really. I think I might have changed my mind. This was my favorite color. A light blue with the ghost effect on the carbon fiber too. So it's not a block color. It's not a solid color on the frame. It's a lighter tone of paint, which then means that when you look at it at different angles, you can see the carbon fiber. You look at it otherwise, it looks like a block color. So they're doing something insane with the paint on this bike in particular. And what's quite nice is that they've got exposed carbon within the SWI logo itself. Massive fan of that. But we have to go see my favorite color. Let's go that way. Oh, we also have the lobster that we have to show them. This though, Max, Yeah. It's a bit of me and a bit of you.
Yeah.
Stunning. The cockpit is the exact same color as the frame itself. Not many other brands are doing that. There's only a few that have done it. I believe Villiers and BMC have done this, but you don't see it very often, but it looks pretty cool. We'll do a quick scan of the workshop. We have got the Campari Red, which is brilliant because Stefano's favorite drink is Campari, and he named a bike after it. That's the Campari Red. And then the other one at the back, which we won't get in the way, is the Nardo Grey. Solid bike, solid color. We did say Nardo Grey on top of an RS6.
That would be unreal.
That would be unreal. We've come in at a time when they're about to lay some carbon into the actual monocoque frame itself. The carbon is kept in this huge fridge over here.
And this isn't off-the-shelf carbon fiber. This is TPT carbon textile. It's the same carbon fiber used in Formula One chassis, America Cup foils, and some of the world's most expensive Richard Mille watches. It's also exclusively just for SWI in the cycling world.
Our carbon costs 10,000 than conventional.
Yeah.
Okay, just to have an idea, conventional carbon is between 25 to the more sophisticated could be, I don't know, maybe 50 euro a square meter. We start from 250 euro square meter. No other can have in the cycling cycling field can have the NTPT, our material. It's the number one.
Yeah.
So now riding it, and this isn't a full technical review, it's just what stood out to me. Okay, it's day 2 of the trip here in Bassano del Grappa, and today's a day that we actually get out on the bikes. I'm going to be riding the Accius, which is in Campari Red, which is very nice. But we're going to be putting it to the test. I am no bike reviewer. I'm no David Arthur. I'm not K Media. I'm not going to claim that way, but I can give you somewhat of a review. I do ride back home a Pinarello F7. We went on a recent trip over to Sierra Nevada. We were riding some big hills. So we will be hitting some hills here as well. So I should be able to give you somewhat a review, some thoughts from my experience of riding this bike, which I'm very excited to do. But yeah, let's go hit the road. We'll hit some climbs. I'll hit some descents because I love going downhill, and we'll see how it rides.
And it's so good. The bike feels super responsive. Now, like I said, I'm no serious bike reviewer, but what I can tell you is how stiff and how reactive this bike is. The power you're putting into it, you really do feel like you're not wasting any energy at all. On the climbs we've done, it gives you that extra boost of energy when you're really kind of capping out at the top. All right, we are very nearly done on this ride, and what a ride it's been. These bikes are really nice to ride. I mean, I guess the thing is with it, we are riding in one of the most beautiful places in the world to ride a bike. It's got to be up there with some of the most beautiful roads that we've ridden on before. We've been treated well, we've been looked after, and I want to be as non-biased as possible and look for the faults in all this, but it's tricky. It really is tricky. I've even asked the guys, I said, what really is, what are the negatives to this bike? What are the negatives to it? And it's actually really hard to find because, yeah, the bikes are expensive, but there's an audience for it, like everything, like apparel. People will buy bikes, people will buy apparel. If it's expensive, there is a market there. The reality is though, these bikes are handmade by people here in Italy. These guys aren't messing around when it comes to making a bike lightweight. And you can really tell that. It rides well. The brand's really cool. Yes, it's expensive, but you're buying into a brand that is hand building carbon fiber bikes in Italy.
Honestly, at this point, I was struggling to really define what made this bike different. I'm not a bike reviewer, but my good friend who was filming with me, MHB Trains, has done a very comprehensive video on how he felt the bike rode.
And today is a special one. We are in Bassano del Grappa in northern Italy, and today we are riding a different bike. We are riding the SWI Acus.
His explanation of the riding of this bike is way better than mine. I would recommend you go check out his video. So now let's talk about the price, because this is where SWI starts to separate itself pretty quickly from the rest. A frame set does start around 6,950 euros, and a full build can easily push well beyond 10,000 euros. depending on spec.
If you're going to be buying these bikes, you're going to be speccing them up to the highest possible grade that you can. And on this one, you've got the Campag wheels, and then you've also got the Super Record 13 group set, which is, you know, pretty high end. And then on this one just here, you've got the lightweight wheels to go with it. Insane. Like, you can spec these bikes up a lot.
Which puts it right up there with the most expensive bikes on the market. But the most important thing is that it's not expensive for the same reason as many other bikes. If you look at big brands, a lot of what you're paying for is R&D at scale, the marketing, the sponsorships, and the distribution. You're buying into a system built for thousands of riders, whereas with SWI, you're paying for something very different, which is time. Over 100 hours per frame, development, 50 plus prototypes, and most importantly, individual engineering. Because they've not just given you a frame, they're changing how that frame is built based around you.
When you get a handmade bike, you're getting it made from someone who's actually here on site. There's no outsourcing, it's not going out to somewhere in China, Italy, carbon fiber, brought together, one bike.
And that's where it becomes harder to compare, because it's not just, is this better than a mass-produced bike? It's more like, do you value something that's built specifically for you?
So one main thing to clear up is that you don't have to buy one of these bikes with a custom carbon layup. You can just buy an off-the-shelf version, which is rated up to 120 kilograms.
And this is the Ecus. This is classic 3K carbon fiber design.
Yeah.
Is a little bit heavier respect to the Leve, and is more comfortable respect to the Leve because is a little bit less stiff, okay, stiffer. Is a very, very nice way of ride.
And for most people, the answer will probably be no. But for certain types of riders, someone who cares about detail, process and feel, that's where something like this starts to make sense. And that's really where SWI sits. This isn't trying to compete with mass brands. It's not trying to be everywhere. It's for a very specific type of rider, someone who values detail, process and craft, and is willing to go deeper than most people ever would on how a bike should feel. Because in a world where most bikes are trying to be everything to everyone, SWI is doing the complete opposite. It's one rider, one bike, and one carbon structure. And this isn't about getting more bike for your money, it's about getting a bike that feels truly yours. And whether that's the future of cycling or just a very refined niche, it's hard not to respect what they're doing.
Honestly, what an absolute pleasure to visit Bassano del Grappa and meet Stefano and learn about the story behind this incredible brand. Really appreciate those guys flying me out, giving me a full tour. And honestly, if you're interested in having a tour of this facility and learning a little bit more about it, then simply reach out to them online. They are more than happy to take people in, show them around and show them the process of building these incredible bikes.
I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's slightly different. I was very lucky that I got invited out to Italy to actually witness it myself. It was an amazing bike to ride, and the factory itself was a stunning place to work. Thank you so much for watching this video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. All right.